A crisis looms in the education sector, with Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang announcing that primary and secondary schools in the country require an additional 43 billion shillings for capitation. Other than the PS who tabled the budget estimates for the financial year 2023-2024 before the National Assembly Education Committee and Research, his higher education counterpart, Beatrice Inyagala, told the parliamentary watchdog that public universities must source for their own funding, with the current university debt standing at 61.1 billion shillings. Our reporter William Juma brings us that story.
Private universities are unhappy with the government over a new funding model for students that stop loans to learners in the colleges.
The private universities have been going around lobbying. I'm sure they've come to office. They've tried to reach the president. They've come to us individually and collectively, wanting even to float money, thinking that they can bribe their way so that the children of Kenya continue suffering. We've said no. Waziri, we are proud of you. Give us commitment, we proceed.
All our students are going to public university unless you as a parent chooses that you want your child to go to a private university. And it is now policy of government that funding will be done, grants will be given only to public universities.
Kenya's National Association of Private Universities Secretary General Dr. Vincent Gaito has criticized the model, saying it is discriminating students against joining private universities. The president said that under the new model, every child will have an equal opportunity, and equal opportunity should not be discriminative but open to all students, Dr. Gaito said. People should be given an equal opportunities to choose where they want to seek their higher education, Gaito said. He is also the pro-chancellor at Mount Kenya University. He said the new funding model will bar students in private universities from accessing government scholarship, thus locking them out of seeking higher education. He warned there was a risk of locking people into a particular line of thinking, an area of seeking higher education. Going forward, the private universities may be seen as pariahs, as unwanted, but they shall not be considered in placing students, and we have no problem with that. Let the students be given the opportunity to seek education in the institutions they feel will give them the opportunity to unlock themselves.
The very needy and the very poor children are the ones who actually work so hard so that they can go to these public universities. And there are very many hidden costs in private universities.
We are giving students to private universities. When these students go there, do we follow, as the government or does the ministry follow these students to ensure that they end up completing their study?
Dr. Mark Matunga, an educationist and technology evangelist, said the funding needs to be student-based and education-centered, and it will also give an opportunity even for private university to create scholarship. Our money should fund an individual, not a university. The challenge is for university like Strathmore to look for scholarship for their students and former students, Matunga said. Under the new model announced last week by President William Ruto, the university and TVET funding model aims at benefiting students from extremely poor backgrounds.
In our TVET institutions, 42,000 students this year will equally be funded fully by the government of Kenya. Their parents will contribute nothing.
The government will cater for education costs of vulnerable, less vulnerable and extremely needy students.
The funding shall be through government scholarships and loans,
who comprise 29% of those joining university and TVET this year.
For the first time, students whose households are at the bottom of the pyramid shall enjoy equal opportunity in accessing university and TVET education.
The president also announced an increase in the university education funding to 84.6 billion Kenyan shilling, up from 54 billion Kenyan shilling in the 2023-2024 financial year.
But I want to tell you, we have put our education system now on sound footing.
Your Excellency. A 56% rise from current budget. Ruto said going forward, the state will not fund students attending private universities. There are about 30 private universities in Kenya which work to enhance the provision of quality education in the country.
And we changed the funding structure from giving money as grant to the university to giving money to the student as scholarship, so that we know who and how many. And every student now has to apply for that scholarship. We have a means testing instrument which has worked for 25 years to determine who can qualify for funding, who does not qualify for funding.
For a very long time, the schools have been going through a lot of suffering in terms of the amount that we have allocated. Originally in the PPS, it was 4 billion shillings, 4.2. Along the way, by the time it came to this, we had lost 1 billion shillings.
My name is William Juma.